those of you that have joined us in webinars in the past, I always like to ask people to drop their location and practice areas in the comments. That it's always fun to know where people are and kind of what they focus on. And then sometimes we might even tailor parts of our webinar today to what your practice areas are. Oh, we got somebody from France. Awesome. What's it about? 9 p.m. Eastern there? Or no, I'm sorry, not Eastern. 9 p.m. there right now? Cool. All right. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. We still got a few people joining here. If it's your first time joining one of our webinars, we do a pretty good job paying attention to the comments. We also have Jana on here, who is kind of behind the scenes today, but will be also in the comments in the chat the whole time. So what's up, Jana? So listen, at any point you have a question or a comment, drop it in the chat. It should be over there on the left-hand side of your screen. We love when conversation goes on there. If we're able to, we'll even potentially answer some of those chats here live. But if not for any reason, Jana or someone from our team might even answer it directly in the chat. And to be honest with you guys, we love the comments, love the chat, love the feedback. Like that also helps us and encourages us. So to whatever degree you all want to engage, we certainly welcome it, enjoy it. But let me dive in. So I'm pretty excited because it's going to be a little bit different today, but in a good way. I've got Mike here with me today. Mike is our social media manager for Spotlight Branding. What's up, Mike?
And I have a mic as well.
Mike with the mic. I love it. Yeah. He loves the puns. Those might come out today. But if any of you follow Spotlight Branding on social media, Mike is the mastermind behind a lot of the content that we create for ourselves. So he's actually our social media manager for our marketing department. And then we've also got Eddie, one of our senior copywriters, who actually creates a lot of content, blogs, social media, and more for a lot of our clients, as well as does some marketing with us as well. What's up, Eddie? How's it going?
Hi. I just want to point out that I've written, I think, 25,000 social media posts for attorneys since I've been here. I did a quick math before I came up. I'm pretty confident with those numbers. 25,000.
25,000 social media posts.
Just for attorneys.
Yeah. I wonder what your word count is on blogs.
Oh, I think I'm at 2,200 blogs.
Okay, blog, but then word
blogs
count.
Total, not word count, but I know the total blogs. I think I'm at 2,200.
Yeah, it might be like 100,000 words or something, right? Is that math right?
We've written War and Peace 3 times.
No, it might be more than that. It's like 1 million. Someone tell me, what's 20,000 times 500?
Oh, listen, I majored in philosophy. This is not going to be.
But hey, the point is, for all of you out there, we have 2 awesome people today with lots of experience to kind of drop their knowledge and their wisdom with you today. If you don't know, my name's Mark Cerniglia. I'm the owner of Spotlight Branding, and I'll kind of be your host today. And so listen, here's what we're going to do. And this is why I'm really excited, and this is why I had Mike and Eddie join us. We're actually going to do a social media workshop today where we're going to pretty much peel back the curtain and teach all of you how to do what we do. We're going to give away the secret sauce. We're going to share our screen with you, and we're going to actually show you our process in a way that you're welcome to steal and do for yourself. We have a pretty systematic approach. And the reason I'm excited to share that with you is my hope in about 45 minutes when you're done with this is that you'll feel like you not only have a process that you can take and apply to your own social media, but that you're going to feel like that process is repeatable, that it's scalable, that it's something that's going to save you time, and to some degree even thought process, save you some of that critical thinking energy. So what I want to do before we dive into those screen shares and showing you that is I want to take about 10 minutes or so, and I want to talk about social media on a macro level. Because one of the conversations we were having in the office before the webinar started was how when it comes to doing social media, before you dive in, you have to first decide what your goals are, right? What is it you actually are looking for social media to accomplish? Because that's going to affect certain aspects of how you approach your social media strategy. Not just the content you might create, but are you running ads? Like what are you looking for social media to do? Now, little sneak peek, we're going to focus later in the presentation just on posting content on social media, organic content. And we're going to kind of talk about it in the context of what Spotlight Branding's goals are for our clients, right?
Mhm.
Because that's what we're good at doing, is achieving those goals. And we're going to kind of show you how we do that, again, in a way that you can take with you and do it on your own if you'd like to. But there's a few things you can do on social media. And I'm actually going to start off with some of the things that, if I'm being honest with everyone out there, and you are welcome to disagree with me in the chat and we can have a little fun with it. But I'm going to start off with a couple of goals that I think probably aren't the best goals for law firms to have when it comes to social media. And the three of us are going to talk a little bit about why that is. And then we'll talk about what I do think the main goal should be for law firm social media. And then we'll kind of dive in, like I said, to the meat and bones of the presentation. But one of the first things that I want to bring up when it comes to social media is the idea of lead generation. Okay, in other words, the thought process that I want social media to be something that creates leads for me. Okay, and Mike, Eddie, if you guys want to chime in, you're welcome to. Eddie, I know this is something that's probably come up with you talking to clients, but
Once a month at least.
Yeah, but no, go ahead. Yeah.
No, once a month. I mean, so a lot of people come exactly what you say. What is your goal for social media? And a lot of people will say, well, hit them with the calls to action. You can, again, and I'm sure you're going to talk about content balance here soon, but hit them with the call to action. I want X amount of people seeing me on social media, and this should generate X amount of clients every month. And that's what I want. And then, so, I mean, what is the danger in that?
Well, yeah, that's a great way to put it. And that's a good question to ask. What is the danger? The danger there is a slight degree of change in what we mean by getting clients from social media. So can social media be one of the ingredients that helps you get more clients? Yes, it can. But clients finding you on social media, I think, is the trap, because that's the exception, not the norm. There are certainly law firms out there that have people that find them on social media, but that is not the norm. And it is not the only benefit of social media. And I'll kind of tease where we're going with this, but a lot of our clients, their social media presence is helping them stay in touch with their existing network, right? And in doing that over time, that top of mind awareness leads to more referrals. So social media is ultimately helping to create more clients, but it's in a different way than maybe they pictured in their head. So the first goal that I want to address is that from what we've seen, more often than not, a social media presence for a law firm is not something where you want to expect people are going to find you on social media. You're not going to necessarily want to use that as your measurement of success. Right? I'm gonna check the chat here, but Eddie, any follow-up thoughts on that?
Have you ever heard of a guy named Gary Vee, Mark? You ever heard his name ever get tossed around a little bit? So I'm stealing this directly from him. I mean, what he's talking about, he said there's a difference between hunting and farming. Hunting is going out and getting those leads, getting cold leads, people you've never met before to see you on social media, to be able to come in and say, oh, that's the person. That's hunting. Farming is taking the existing fertile land that you already have and trying to get as many as the nutrients out of it, get the most out of it. And farming, and we're talking about your network. The network, we're farming, we're using your network, and social media's benefit to you is namely going to be used for farming rather than hunting. I know, Mark, you might have caught a little bit. I was just going over the difference between farming and hunting, and using farming in order to use your network is primarily what you're going to use social media for, which is good news for you because it requires significantly less work than going out and hunting. And there also are returns on the back end, which are tangible.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Whoever was here in the echo, is it working
It's
now?
gone.
Is that better?
You're good.
Yeah, we
Brilliant.
fixed it.
Appreciate that
Hey,
feedback.
Jenna.
Thank you, Carolyn. Appreciate that. Yeah, no. So, and at the end of the day, this is such a big deal because I think the point we're trying to make to everyone out there is there are multiple benefits that can come from social media. But when it comes to small law firms, which is kind of the main target market we work with, if your primary expectation is, I'm going to get leads from this, people are going to find me on social media, I think the point we're trying to make is that more often than not, you're going to be disappointed, right? Maybe that'll change at some point, maybe, but there's so many factors that go into that. Are people actually going to social media looking for a lawyer? How easy is it or not to actually have reach on social media as a law firm? And I want to kind of bring Mike into that question because we start to get into, like how easy is it to get like followers and likes and things like that. And that's actually another area that I can be kind of a slippery slope. Because if you're all about wanting to get likes and followers for your law firm, number one, that's going to be challenging. Number two, that doesn't necessarily give you an ROI. So again, I know I'm kind of teasing all these things to not focus on, and I'm going to kind of talk more about kind of the direction I would encourage everyone to go. But Mike, you have a lot of experience when you're doing marketing for Spotlight Branding, which is obviously a little bit different, right? You're not doing the marketing for a law firm, you're doing it for a marketing agency. So you maybe are a little bit more focused on how can content go viral? How can we get likes? How can we get followers? Can you talk a little bit about why that might be challenging as a law firm? Certainly not impossible. We've seen law firms do it, but can you talk to us about that world of chasing followers, chasing growth and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it's its own world, right? I mean, you have to be really into this world in order to kind of really understand like the direction of where you're going, have strategy behind it all. That's first and foremost. I mean, secondly, I think that social media has always just been the best place for people to connect. I mean, we're seeing the rapid rise in, like, say, LinkedIn right now because, I mean, it's the perfect place for people to connect. And I think that social media has always really been about connecting, and it's kind of turned into this almost like vanity-seeking endeavor in a way, because when you think social media, all you think are like likes, shares, comments, followers, all that kind of thing. But just to give you a little tidbit on like a little insight about the whole follower aspect is that, and I know we're going to get into it, but you have all these exceptions that are standing out because they're exceptions, right? In bigger picture, you have plenty of law firms out there that don't have hundreds of thousands or millions of followers.
Mike, real quick, when you say exceptions, you're talking about some of the lawyers or law firms that kind of have built a big social media following. Maybe they've become like entertainers or they're doing interesting things, but they've clearly had some level of follower success, virality. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, like these people are people who are dedicated to just that, right? Like what I do for Spotlight Branding, like I'm trying to grow our brand on social media, but that's my role. I don't, I help out with other, areas, but that's like my role. That is my goal. So, in terms of talking about a solo or a small law firm who have like 2 or 3 or 4 people, like you talk about capacity, like it's almost like you're shooting too high for something that you really don't need to be, social media is going to do its trick regardless if you got millions, hundreds of thousands. But if you have hundreds or even 10, 20, if they're the right people, it works just as well.
Go ahead, Eddie.
Put that in perspective. I mean, I have probably 35 clients I write social media for, and I do it my way for attorneys. Mike does his social media his way, and he has 1 client. To put that in perspective, how much work it takes to really grow. I mean, you are 1 client, but you work for here. I mean, like that's the level.
Put me on blast right now.
No, yeah, but I'm saying it's 11. It's maybe your job is 35. What I'm saying. The point is, I'm saying it takes a lot of time and effort to be able to grow followers the way you're talking about.
Sure. Well, and so Eddie, to piggyback off of that,
yeah.
I think one of the things I want to make sure to communicate to everyone listening is I think the overarching point there is, if you really want to build followers, likes, engagement, it's going to be pretty difficult for a marketing agency to do that for you if you were to hire an agency. Okay. There's probably exceptions. There's exceptions to everything out there. But, even the ones that are out there telling you, hey, we're going to do all these things on social for you. We're going to get you followers. It's going to be engaging content. There's a reason that people are always firing their marketing agencies, right? The point is, if you do want to be one of these lawyers, or you work at a law firm where you do want to kind of create one of these social media presences that is more about the entertainment, the growth, the followers, the engagement, the likes, all these things, we're not telling you not to do it. We're just saying that is usually super customized. It's super personalized. Usually there's a lot of effort in-house going on working on something like that. And so what we're going to kind of show you today is more of a simple, repeatable process so that you can kind of maintain social media content on a daily basis, have a good presence, right? What we're going to show you today isn't actually going to be how you would become kind of one of these celebrity law firms on the internet, but here's what I will tell you. And I kind of told you I was, saving the positive for last. Here's what we found doing this for a while. Okay. Cause I'm sitting here telling you guys, don't do social media to get leads. Don't do social media to get followers. You're like, okay, well, why should we do social media? That'd be a reasonable question, right? So there's really two things we've kind of narrowed it down to at Spotlight Branding when it comes to small law firms, and why we think every small law firm does need a social media presence where they post daily. Number one is top of mind awareness. Okay. In other words, using social media to stay in touch with your existing network. If you've attended past webinars or you've engaged in any of our own content, hopefully Mike is putting out social media posts about what I'm talking about right now. And if not Mike, you can use this right now because we're recording.
There we
go. But most law firms honestly aren't getting all the referrals they could be, aren't getting all of the repeat business they could be. There's statistics to back this up. We've talked about this forever. Just because you get a lot of your business through referral doesn't actually mean that you're maximizing your referrals. Those are two different things. And so social media is just another way to stay in touch with your existing network. So that's number one. Like, we've legitimately seen clients put out content consistently on social media, and that just helps them stay top of mind with their network. And that does result in more leads, but through referrals, right? Or repeat business. The other aspect of social media is what we would call in the business brand building, right? But to kind of put that, in terms that I think are more applicable for a small law firm, we're talking about reputation building credibility, establishing expertise. So think of it like this, right? Yes, one of the things you might hope for is that somebody is on the internet, looks for an attorney, and finds you. That would be great. But think about the other direction. Somebody finds you however they find you. Maybe they're referred to you. Maybe they did find you on the internet, whatever it is. They go to your website. They want to do more research about you. If you have a social media presence, that becomes another thing they can go look at to learn more about your firm and get a better sense of who you guys are and what you're all about. And so not only is social media a tool to help you stay in touch with your existing network, but it's also a branding tool so that when somebody is doing their research on your firm, it's just another, item of marketing in your repertoire that's going to establish credibility, build trust. And if you're out there wondering, wait a second, how does social media help my reputation? How does social media help build trust or credibility? That's hopefully what we're going to kind of show you in the rest of the webinar. But the short version is when you create content that is focused on sharing your expertise, offering guidance, addressing common situations your clients are in. It might be video FAQs. It might be creating some blogs where you address common questions or situations your clients are in. And then those blog posts become social media posts, right? And Eddie's going to kind of show you what some of that can look like.
But to also
yeah.
also to that point, Mark, I mean, a lot of people are, it's becoming the norm that people are going to social media and getting their questions answered through social media as well. So I mean, if you are a law firm and you have their questions answered, I mean, what better way to establish yourself right from the get-go than to have their questions already answered before they even get to know who you are.
Right. So we'll kind of transition here in a minute, but the point I wanted to kind of share and get everyone thinking about is that if your goals for social media is to generate leads or to kind of build this big following, we're not saying those things are impossible, but we want to establish from the onset that those are lofty goals. And those are goals that more often than not only the law firms themselves fail at those goals more often than not, but even marketing agencies who are doing marketing for law firms fail at that more often than not. And I want to real quick side note. I just want to address something. I'm talking about a social media presence. I'm talking about the content you post. If we talk about social media ads, where you're actually paying to run like an ad on Facebook or something like that, that actually is a little bit of a different conversation. Now, you might still want to ask yourself, okay, but is somebody actually looking for a lawyer on social media, right? But when you're running ads, that's different. And you are maybe trying to generate leads that way. But when you talk about the organic content that you're posting, a video you might create or sharing a blog on social media, we suggest that your primary goal be staying top of mind with your network and building your brand. Okay. And the results that you should expect from that are you should see referrals go up. You should see that you attract more of the kinds of clients you want. Because your content is focused on the kinds of clients you're trying to attract. You might even find that you have less friction charging the rates that you want to charge because your overall online presence is kind of positioning your law firm as a premium law firm, right? As kind of the go-to experts in your practice area. So that's one of the key roles social media can play in your marketing as a whole. So, in a second here, I kind of want to dive in and actually show you guys the actual templates and the framework that we use. And Eddie's going to actually walk you guys through the series of steps that we go through to create a batch of social media content for a client. And again, we'll show it to you in a way that you can take it and do it yourself. And then Mike's going to hang out with us. And later towards the end, Mike's actually going to talk about how you could even DIY creating some graphics and things like that, if that's something you're up for. I know we have a lot of marketing people on the webinar today, so I bet a lot of you out there are familiar with obviously how to create graphics and things like that. But for those of you, if you're an admin person or if we have any lawyers actually on the webinar today, we are going to show you some tools that you can use to even create your own graphics and maybe even create some, Mike, I don't know if we're going to show them how to use maybe some template graphics that they could use on repeat, but
oh yeah, most definitely.
Oh
yeah. So we really want
that's probably going to be the key right there.
Love it. So before we dive into the actual workshop portion and screen share and show you guys that, I want to both ask Mike, Eddie, do you guys have any thoughts or questions you want to share before we dive in? And also to everyone out there, if you have any questions about what we just talked about for the last 10, 15 minutes or so, you want to throw those into the chat before we kind of dive into the DIY portion.
Let's roll.
Let's rock and roll. I'm psyched. Let's do some social media.
Awesome. Cool. All right, Eddie, we'll take a second, get your screen up, and we'll see if anybody has questions in the chat. And if not, we'll get rocking and rolling.
Hopefully in a second, you're about to see a blank template. Let me know if you can see it. Can you see?
Yes.
All right. So what you're looking at, again, I'm 40 years old. And I don't know how to do computers very well. So if you're going to sit here and say, well, I can't do social media because it's too complicated, I'm going to show you that this starts out with something as simple as a blank Google Doc, something as a Word doc. It's that simple. So I know Mark and I were going to talk through these things.
Eddie, can you just zoom in a little bit on the since you're full screen? Perfect.
Yep. Any better?
No, it's just that 100% at the top, or you can do that. That works too. Yeah, that's great.
Cool. So we're going to start here. I mean, so what we talked about, an endlessly repeatable formula, and I kind of made a little notes here before, but I'll dive into that. We're making an endlessly repeatable formula. And one of the first things we're going to bring up here is the fact that when you make posts for 30 days, you don't need 30 posts. And we're going to show you how to post something every Tuesday, every Thursday, and then post something every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If you do it that method, you only need about 14 to 16 posts, and that will cover you Monday through Friday, every day of the week for the entire month. So, Mark, do you want to start with formula? Are you ready to dive into this with me?
Let's do it.
All right. So the two things we're going to go over here is the formula, and the second thing is the numbers. It's usually how to specifically write post. Don't worry about the numbers yet. I'll explain everything. So
yeah, and I think real quick, like this is, and we can even give people a copy of this Google Doc if you guys want.
Absolutely.
Just let us know in the comments if that's something you want. But I mean, what we're hoping to do today is actually make this seem really simple and easy, right? So believe it or not, like step one, create a Google Doc.
Yep.
And that you're going to reuse every month. And step two, and this is what Eddie's about to talk about, is you want to create a formula. And so a formula, and Eddie, I don't know if I'm stepping on your toes here, but a formula is like basically what we suggest you do is come up with the kinds of things you want to post and how often you want to post those. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to post, say, typically in a month, there's about 20 business days.
Yep.
So let's just say you said, yeah, I want to post Monday through Friday. I want to post once a day. So, all right, but what do you want to post, right? So you want to create a formula for yourself. You say, all right, you know what? We create a blog a month, but you can share that blog on social media more than once. So you might say, all right, of my 20 social media posts a month, 5 of them are going to be sharing my most recent blogs. 2 of them might be the newest one. The other 3 might be blogs from the last couple months, so 5 posts might be sharing my blogs. 2 posts might be sharing quotes. 3 posts might be sharing pages from my website. So I'm sure you're going to talk more about that, Eddie, but I really want everyone to understand step one is actually just creating a formula that you feel like you can use on repeat.
So, I mean, if you don't know what the formula is, you don't know what to pull from, we do content multiplication. We basically take existing content you have and repurpose it on social media. So you basically go to your website, and because we're doing Clark.law, you see this now? We're at Clark.law's website. So if you look at their website, this is what they do: technology, healthcare, hospitality. These are their practice areas. I mean, those would be great for calls to action later. They also post testimonials, and I go into the resources. They have blogs, video, and free resources. Now, if I scroll down and I look through their page, I'm also realizing they have a newsletter. They're also featuring the free resource again. They have blogs. So this is all stuff you're going to use to put into your formula, the existing content you already have. So, for example, on the formula, I know they have blogs. They have videos. They have a newsletter. They have a free resource. They have testimonials.
Eddie, what are some of the things that, if for some reason someone doesn't have a blog yet or doesn't have videos yet, what are some of the things you could pull from?
We're going to add that in because we are, even with as much content as Clark.law has, there's still not enough here for everything. So this is where we're going to start to map out what the things you need. And there's definitely not enough X's here. And there's definitely things you can add in on top of these. These are the things if you do have. So if you don't have blogs, videos, newsletters yet, you can also use quotes. You can use third-party articles. You can post frequently asked questions, because I know every attorney I've ever spoken to, I go, give me 3 questions you've been asked over and over again for the last 2 months.
Yeah, let's throw some of those in there, even if we don't flesh it out, even just writing it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And while you're typing that, I'll just add,
yep.
Yeah, while you're typing that, I'm just going to add so there's a couple different strategies Eddie's deploying here that I kind of want to crystallize for everyone. One is, okay, what's content that already exists on your website that you can just reuse? Okay, so again, if you have blogs, you have videos, all of that is social media content that can be used more than once. If you have a newsletter, you have a free resource. If you have testimonials, Okay. But then there's other things you might have to kind of either create the content or go get it. So something like FAQs, that's literally as simple as dropping a question on social media, but maybe it's a common question you get. Quotes, go get those, right? Famous quotes and things like that, but you can actually create a social media post out of that. And we'll show you that as we go. Third-party articles would be going and finding articles on a third-party website. So like if you're a business attorney or you do merger and acquisition or transactional stuff for business owners, you might every now and then go find a business article from Forbes.com or businessinsider.com or something like that. And you might share that content on your social media. And Eddie's adding some more examples now. So it's almost like a list of things you could pull from. But Eddie, I'm guessing what you're going to do here in a second, I think this is kind of the secret sauce, is we suggest, and you only have to do this once. I want to make sure everyone understands that. What we're showing you right now, you only have to do once, because the next step is to come up with to come up with what of these you want to do and how many of them you want to do. And then you're essentially creating a template for yourself that you're just maybe updating once a month. And we do this monthly, but if you wanted to do this on a different cadence, you could create a weekly template for yourself, right? So Eddie, I'm sure you're going to kind of give them a quick version of how you might put that together.
Absolutely. So, I mean, these are the things we have. These are things either that exist either on your website or things you can pull from. So because I mentioned we post something every Tuesday and every Thursday to be able to cover us for an entire month while still being able to generate maybe 14 or 16 posts total. Things that are posted every week, those are the things that are your biggest ones, things that are like your newsletter, because it's a lead magnet, and B, it also gets shows people your credibility and expertise because it speaks a lot about you. Same thing goes to the free resource. I mean, usually when our clients write free resource, we write free resource for our clients. It's centered on an area that they focus on. So even if they don't read it, if someone to see it, they know this is the type of law they practice. This is what they work on. This is who they are. It's branding in a sense. And that you're looking at it, it's like, I got who they are. So then the other thing too, now you just start filling these things in. So we know we want blogs. We have videos on here. We just don't know how many yet. We can do, there's one other thing I left off. Quotes. Well, this is just for funsies. We can do testimonials. And the other thing too, we didn't mention was specific calls to action. I mean, for specific services that the law firm has, saying this is who we are, this is what we offer, give us a call. Are you going to get clients off social media? Maybe. Although that's not your primary purpose, it's still nice to get one. So we still throw this out there. And
not only that, Eddie, but also honestly, even just the pages of the website. So like if you go back, I don't know if you still have Clark.law up real quick.
So
but if you just scroll back to the main menu, go to the practice areas, like even each one of those practice area pages, like each one of those pages could be shared on social media as an individual post. So the social media post could be something, if you can go back real quick, like if you actually camp out on this page for a second, the social media post could be, one of the things we focus on is corporate and business law. If you want to learn more, click here. And you could do that every month. I mean, I would recommend like changing the wording each time, but like almost every page of your website could be a social media post more than once. Okay, so it's not just the content on the website, like blogs, videos, and things like that, but even these static pages, okay, these interior pages, I think those are at least on the list. Now, you might not do 10 of these every month, but one or two of your posts could be sharing your practice area pages, your about page, your staff page, and you could rotate through those.
Absolutely. And then when we do link call to actions, we're not linking the contacts. We're linking the actual page. People are more willing. I mean, it's the journey, right? So if they go on social media and they read, call us here, book a consultation, that's a really tall ask. odds are people aren't going to do that. They are more willing to maybe click on something and read more about you. So where I went for something where I was limited by 280 characters, now we're sitting in a situation where I've got you to the page, you're on the website, and now this is we obviously wrote this too, but it's getting you more involved with the attorney, and it's one step closer to that contact button. It's a step towards contact. We're not trying to jump to the end right away, but absolutely.
All right. So Eddie, so let's do this. So let's just real quick here. Let's let's plug in some fake numbers just so
Yep.
we
all right. So we do 3 blogs, we do 3 videos, 2 quotes, 1 testimonial, and 2 calls to action. So that's 1.
And for the sake of time, we'll keep going. But what I would say to everyone out there is a good starting place is maybe 20. Try to do 1 post a day. And again, we only picked 5 different types of posts here, but you could easily add 1 or 2 more static website pages, your about page, third-party articles, and things like that. So as Eddie's filling this out, I'll also comment. One of the other things we have on here that's a little bit of a hack, a little bit of a cheat code, is what we would call repeating posts. You don't have to do this, but it's a strategy we like to deploy, which is basically recognizing that there's certain things you might want to share on a frequent basis. Like if you have a free resource or if you have a newsletter, honestly, like that might be something worth sharing once a week on social media. So you might actually create 1 post that you share 3 or 4 times that month. And next month, you'll still share a newsletter post 4 times, but you'll do a new one. But that's also a nice little hack for social media content to create what we would call a repeating post. But for today's session, it's not that important to really unpack that. So basically, Eddie, you've got your formula, and I think what you just did now is you basically identified our dates are a little funky here, right?
No, these dates are dead on. These dates will work.
No, I know, but somebody might want to do this at the beginning of September, and so it's going to be September 1st through the 30th. But either way, put in your dates, put in your formula, and then from here, Eddie, you're actually going to create the social content, right?
Absolutely, yes. So, I mean, like these are all the Tuesdays, these are all the Thursdays, and every other day that you hear is a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I know on the 14th we have Indigenous Peoples Day, so that's an extra holiday. So. And again, now you're working on 280 characters. So if we're going to write a blog post, we're going to go to his blogs. Do independent contractors own intellectual property from the work? I mean, we can get as creative as you want to on this. Contractors often ask, and please don't judge me on my creativity right now. Often ask about whether they own their intellectual property. Now, we're not going to say read our blog here. I'd put something in here factual. In fact, they own more of their IP than they think. So that's it. So we're looking at here. Now we're going to go back. You link it, copy and paste. We have that. Now we're going to throw some hashtags in here. So the hashtags, Mike, you want to talk about hashtags real quick, or what? I mean, or you're the hashtag guru.
Yeah, I mean, they don't work as like they used to. Definitely still put them in there because it's a good way of categorizing your content. But other than that, it's not really like it used to be back in the heyday.
So I also think, Eddie, for the sake of time, why don't do you have a finished batch you can jump to?
Sure, I can find them.
Because what I'd like to do, and if anybody out there wants something different, actually time into the chat because we can kind of go a couple of different directions. But I think it'd be nice to real quick see what the finished product looks like on the tech side. Remember, we haven't got to the graphic yet. Okay, we're going to talk about that shortly. But Eddie, kind of scroll down here, and because some of this is a little bit unique to the client, but can you kind of point out in this particular case, you don't actually have it labeled like blog
Nope.
or newsletter.
But I did it the exact same way I set it
Right.
up, what you saw. So I just deleted it at the end. So, for example, this is IRAs are crucial asset protection, and especially when you're in a nursing home. So this right here is going to be, I'm almost positive it's a blog. So redirect you back to his blog. So these are blogs. You're going to see later on here. These are quotes. This is a call to action for scheduling a consultation that leads him back to his elder law page. This is informative blog about tax exemptions changing in 2026. So everything that I've mentioned before here, this is all composed of blogs, quotes, holidays, calls to action. I believe he has a radio show in here that we also link in there. But this is what the final product looks like.
Right. Until we obviously get to the graphics. So obviously, and if everybody wants this, we could do it in another workshop, right? Because honestly, we could probably spend 30 minutes to an hour teaching like how to come up with the best text for each type of post, right? Okay. So Eddie, if you can hop back to your other document real quick, back to the top where we had the different types. If you could highlight those real quick at the very, very top, the formula. We could do a whole workshop if you guys want it on, okay, when you're going to do blog posts on social media, here's some of the things to think about. If you're going to share your newsletter, if you're going to do behind the scenes stuff, here's some of the best ways to find quotes or third-party articles, right? Like we could do that. We just have enough time to unpack it, deep dive it today. But I think, Eddie, do we have a couple minutes to show them how they could get AI to help them?
If you want to, I can knock this out right now.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the keys. Because basically, take a second and pull it up, Eddie, and I'm going to add another thought as you're doing that. Basically, what you're doing
really blow your mind.
You've got your formula, but now you're having to say, okay, which blogs do I want to share, and what do I want to say about them, right? Which quotes do I want to use? What third-party articles do I want to find? What calls to action do I want to share? And obviously that does require a little bit of creativity or critical thinking or marketing savvy. But if you don't feel up to that, this is where AI can help you. Now we've already done some behind the scenes stuff here where we actually have already created a GPT here for Clark.law, and we've actually taught ChatGPT about this client. So there's already a backstory, so we don't have to give it every time, right, Eddie? Like in this particular case, the screen you're on right now already knows the practice areas, the personality of the firm, and things like that, right?
Affirmative.
So you can basically come in and you could essentially just give it the formula, say, hey, I need this, I need this, I need this, and it could go ahead and create some of that.
Yep, absolutely. So we created a GPT for this. Now I also use shorthand, and this is a post to something if you want to create blogs, and if you want this exact thing that I typed in here, feel free to email me. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you directly. It's edward@spotlightbranding.com. We can put that in the chat. So if I want to make a blog post for Clark.law, what I'm telling him, this is the instructions I'm giving. This is what I've gotten it to give the most information out of. Now, to make it really simple, we'll go back to that original post to independent contractors own their intellectual property. I'm going to highlight all of this, except the call to action. I'm going to plug this in. I'm going to hit.
So what you essentially did here is you had a prompt already set up that kind of gave it some rules and some boundaries, which is, but then since in this particular case, you wanted to create a social media post from the blog, you literally just gave it the blog.
Mm-hmm. And you could do that with practice areas. You could do that with anything. And again, if you want the actual prompt that I'm using for those, I'm happy to share them.
Okay, so what you
basically
have here is you actually have some posts that you could use again on the tech side, and you could pick the one or two of these you like, throw them on your Google Doc. Now, we don't have time to necessarily show more of these, but how would the inputs change if we're looking at some of the other types of posts, right? This was for a blog post and you copy and pasted the whole blog, but how does this change if you're doing some of the other
very minimally? I mean, for example, if I were to do a newsletter, I'm using the same sort of instructions. You're seeing the word, I see the words navigate, dive, metaphors, overuses of adverbs. And so I'm using it's in. I'm just doing the same. It's
And
almost the same
also, if people, this is kind of a super prompt. If people don't have the super prompt or don't want to use it, like that's also okay. Like we only got here by just coming in and asking AI for help with this, and then over time we've learned the feedback to give it and things like that. And again, this is a shortcut you don't have to take. But I think it's out there for you. Now, Eddie, when it comes to finding quotes and third-party articles, is there a way to use AI for that, or is that pretty much just Google and things like that?
No, that's pretty much just Google. But I mean, the best thing, it's so simple, and I'll use Brainy Quote. I mean, it's not the best. Then we go to home. You can break it up by topic. And this is everything. I mean, there are thousands and thousands and thousands. You can break it up by author. You can search people. There are so many endless sources on Brainy Quote.
And I didn't talk about it too much earlier, but one of the reasons we like to throw quotes into the social media formula is just to create some balance, right? So that not every single social media post is promoting the firm or talking about the practice areas. Like sometimes it's nice to mix things up with a quote and things like that. I mean, Eddie, I don't know if you can give the 15-second version, but I think we've even heard stories of clients talking about how sometimes people have actually commented on their social media content and actually said that sometimes the quotes really helped people or caught them on a bad day and kind of encouraged them and things like that.
That came up in like 2 case studies ago with one of our clients. They said, actually, I was having a rough day, and I said, it just made me feel better. I mean, it breaks up the content. It's we call the content balance. We don't always hit everybody with a call to action. And it's a balance between promotional, inspirational, and educational. We call it PI, or I call it PI: promotional, inspirational, educational. If you try to get equal balances from P, I, and E, and this is the inspirational element. There's different ways to do that, but that's what we call the content balance. And this definitely works for inspirational work.
Perfect. So, all right. So to kind of bring things home, and we'll switch it over to Mike here in a second. So basically, you might use AI to help you with some of your posts. Obviously, if it's a quote, you're just going to go grab that quote and you're going to go paste it into your Google Doc. If it's a third-party article, you're maybe going to paste that article into ChatGPT, just like you did with the blog, and get it to spit out some text for you. And we didn't really get to, but even if it's calls to actions and things like that, if you've taught AI about your firm, then AI can spit out some personalized calls to action. So the final product, Eddie, if you can just pull it up one more time, and Mike, if you want to get your screen ready, we'll switch to you here in a second, but can you just pull up that final document again with all of those posts?
I'm going to get trainer control back. There we go. I'm back.
And then just zoom out real quick, because I want to, I know I had you zoom in earlier, but I just want to zoom out real quick.
You said you want to see the final doc?
Yeah, that one we had up a second ago. Because I know it looks super busy, but what I want everyone to see here is that all this is it's just being filled in, right? One of these is a blog, one of these is the newsletter, one of these is a quote, one of these is a third-party article. So once a month, you could sit down for maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and you could just fill this out. And you'd be filling out the same kinds of things. So every month, you're going to get better and more efficient at doing this. Now is when you want to think about, what is the visual component of this going to be? Okay. So whether you could do design yourself, or maybe you have a graphic designer, or you have like a freelancer, this is where step 1 is going to help now with step 2. Okay. So we're going to kick it over to Mike, and Mike's going to help us understand how you might take content like this and actually create some really simple graphics to accompany it on social media.
Yeah, take that boring stuff I just did and make it look a lot better.
Well, now we can get the real part of this presentation going. No, I'm just kidding.
How dare you?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously with just a quick little preface here, we're going to use Canva. I don't know if people are familiar with Canva at all. If you're not, super simple. I think that's the reason why we chose it to present it, because we use it ourselves. Super simple, and it's a great way to create effective graphics. So basically, first and foremost, whatever Eddie had typed out, that's what I have here. So you want to have this sheet open. It just makes it a whole lot easier to plan out your graphics. So
Mike, you want me to share you with the finished one so you have more to work with?
That's okay. I think
right.
what you had on there, will work. So first and foremost, Canva makes it super easy for you in terms of which platform you're creating a graphic for. So let's just say that we're creating a graphic for Instagram. So under the social media tab, this is all on the home screen of Canva. Under the social media tab, they have the option for an Instagram post. So we could just create a new one, create a blank one, and it's going to give you the perfect fitting for what Instagram is kind of requiring. Now you can create your own kit in terms of like, let's see here, your brand kit. So you can see ours right here. And this will have your saved fonts. It'll have your saved color schemes. So this is something that you really want to do. Once you do it and get it out of the way, it's going to save you a lot more time in the long run. But it's just a great way to keep all of your content, on the same color scheme, same text, all that kind of thing. So I have, just for the sake of time, I can go into like what you can do in terms of adding elements and whatnot to it. I have some finished products that we have used. So this would be like a testimonial, very clean. It really doesn't take a crazy amount of thinking to into it. Like, don't overthink it.
And these are reusable, which is important, right?
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
you could so if you want to do a couple testimonials every month, you could have one that's a white background, one that's a blue background, and every month you're just swapping the text on this graphic. Right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's the big part, right? Is that you're spending the time up front to create these templates so that you're saving yourself the time in the long run. And Canva makes it super simple. Like in terms of, say I wanted to store my graphics on Canva, so I didn't want to like override anything. Like there's a duplicate button right here. If I just click duplicate page, it just does it, and I can type in my new quote. Let's see. There we go.
Sometimes keyword.
Sometimes keyword. Make sure to put your keywords in there. But yeah, so it's super simple in that aspect. It's just about spending the time to create your templates right up front. So I'll show like what we can do on Canva, but just to give you examples, these are what our testimonials kind of look like. These would be for like a free resources, just something super simple but effective, right? And then these are newsletters. If your call to action is to have them join your newsletter, these are a couple of different ones, and you definitely want to create two. Like Mark was saying, you can swap between the two of them, right? So it's not like the same thing over and over again. You know what I mean?
But would it be okay to use some of the same graphics spread out? I mean, is there a downside?
Oh, sure. To that? No, there's really no downside to it. I mean, in fact, if that will save you even more time. So I mean, it's purely your preference and also your capacity. You guys are very busy people, so if you have the capacity to do two, absolutely do two. But if you only have the capacity to do one and you want to spread it out, absolutely do that as well. So Eddie created here the little blog post here. So real quick, I know we're kind of running low on time. So this would be your blank canvas. Obviously over here, you have different elements. I mean, the great thing to start off with is your brand color. I'll just put spotlights. One of ours is black. And then I'll put like kind of like a little, just a little something here. This is our other brand color. Just to kind of.
You are so much faster at this than I am. It's like a month's worth of work for me.
You creating the actual content itself helps out a lot. So appreciate that. So obviously this is very, this is very not well.
No, creativity is not getting judged here. Right. It's all theoretical creativity.
But you can also, depending on if you have the Canva, the premium subscription or not. There's certain things that you can use for the pro, certain things you can't, but for the most part, you can use what you need. So let's see, this one is about independent contractors. So if I go over here and just type in independent contractors. Right, here's some photos I could use. There's some graphics I can use. You just click on them and apply them. You can change the color of them. Super simple, right? And just put them wherever you like, right? All right, so I know we need to get to scheduling as well. Does anybody have any questions? I know it raced through this, but
we probably, to be honest with you, we can send out some clip notes over email about scheduling. I think that it's better to hit what we want to on this, and I'll make some comments on that before we wrap up. So if there's anything else you wanted to say on this, go for it.
No, I mean, I think, like I said before, it's taking the time up front to save yourself a lot of time in the long run. You don't need to be, insanely creative in terms of creating like a design. They give you some templates to work with as well. And it's just getting it done because you need it done. Right, so you need to have it.
Yeah, so let's do this. So I don't know, Mike. I don't know if this is you or if this is you, Eddie. But I do one thing I want to do before we wrap up, and don't hop off just yet because I do have something to share here at the end with all of you. But before we do that, I did want to just show what the finished product looks like actually posted, whether that's on Instagram or Facebook. Eddie, is that you, or does Mike have that up?
Oh yeah, I don't need I don't, but you can probably bring it up right now on someone's Instagram account.
Yeah, I can bring it up.
Yeah, because I want people to see the text with the post, right? Because in some cases, like the testimonials or the quotes, the text just goes in the graphic. But in other situations, Mike, I don't know if you can zoom in a little bit, but in other situations, the text actually is a caption.
I'll be Clark.law.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let me zoom in real quick.
So yeah, just real quick, grab one of the two. Okay, so you can see here is the graphic, and we also have the quote as a caption on the right. Okay, but this is what that end product looks like. You can see those hashtags are there. Okay, that we created on the Google Doc. And Mike, maybe we can grab one or two more.
Sure. Let's see. There's another one.
Let's not do another quote. Let's do something a little bit different, like a blog or something like that.
Looks like this one's linked to a blog.
Okay.
It's not the best. But.
No, it's not the best graphic, but it also, like, sometimes simple gets the job done. It does all about what you need to do.
This one's a good one.
Yeah. Okay, so you just create graphics to accompany the text you created, and then sometimes the text goes in the graphic, but almost always the text, is some sort of caption with the graphic, and it's obviously going to look different in different platforms. So awesome, cool. Well, listen, I hope it was helpful to everyone. I'll be honest, I thought we'd get through a little bit more, and some of that's on me. So I hope that you guys did at least get a lot out of what we did get through. The one other thing we were going to talk a little bit about was, okay, what do you do with the graphic and with the text? You obviously go post it on the platform. To save time, there are tools you can use, and we were talking about it in the chat. If you guys were in there are tools that you can use to schedule these, so that not only can you sit down and schedule it all at once for the whole month, but you can schedule it to be published on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. So you don't have to go to every platform and manually do it. So there are things out there like Zoho Social, Hootsuite. Somebody also in the chat was sharing one that they really like. If you want to play with that as well. But the bottom line is, here's what I hope you heard walking away from this. If you build a formula, you're just going to reuse that every month. Where you are going to have to put in the work is creating the text, deciding what you're going to post about, creating the text, creating the graphic, but then you can schedule it all at once. This is something you could literally do in an afternoon once a month. But listen, before you all go, I did want to mention, at the end of the day, this is what we do for clients. So if you would like help with your social media, or you don't want to do all the stuff we taught you today, do feel free to reach out to us. We are doing a promotion exclusively for those that attended this webinar. We are offering 3 months of our social media service for free. if you would like to work with us. So we've got a link there. Jana just put it in the chat, spotlightbranding.com/schedule. Click there, schedule a consultation with us. And if you think we're a good fit, again, we will give you 3 months of our social media service for free if you'd rather just have a company do this for you, which of course we'd be happy to do. But that said, what matters to us most is that you have success with your social media. I hope we were able to give you some tools today to do that. And also, I hope that we were able to challenge you in how you think about your goals for social media and where the real ROI is. So if we can help you, let us know. We'd love to schedule a consultation with you if you'd like to work together. But either way, we hope the webinar was helpful to you. If you have any feedback or questions, I can hang out in the chat for an extra minute, or you can email us. But the feedback's always helpful. What was good? What would you like different next time? Because at the end of the day, we really do create these webinars to give you guys value. While we're waiting to see if anybody has any questions, Mike, Eddie, final thoughts?
Be on social media. You know, it can be a monster. It can be daunting. But you gotta be there. We're gone are the days where you don't have to be on social media. If you're a business, it's pretty much a must at this point. So hopefully this presentation helped you guys see that it's not as crazy to have a presence on social media as you might have thought beforehand.
Hey, no one shows up to a law firm saying, I have a legal problem. What can you do for me? They have a specific legal problem. So if you're going to show up on social media, have a specific purpose of what you want to get in there. Get in, get out, do your specific purpose, have a specific goal in mind, because you want to be able to get out what you put into it. And if you know what you want out of it, you're going to know what to put into it.
I love that. I love both of you said, but yeah, Eddie, you know, and that's be kind of my final thought. Someone actually asked in the chat, I thought it was a really interesting question around like, hey, should we put the contact information in every social media post? And I don't know who saw it, but, you know, my response was, I mean, I don't have a hard opinion one way or the other. But if I was forced to give an answer, my answer would be, no, like we'll put the contact information on some posts. And the reason is, and Eddie, this kind of addresses what you just said. I like to see the biggest mindset of a social media presence is giving. The focus is I'm using my social media to give information. I'm trying to help people, right? So I'm sharing content that will be informative, helpful, even inspirational if it's quotes, you know, but I want to share, I want to focus on giving through social media. So have calls to action. Do have social media posts that share what you do, that have your phone number once in a while, that offer free consultations or whatever it is that you do. I'm not saying don't have that on social media, but I do think a great attitude to have with the social media presence is that it's a place that you give, right? And then ultimately believing in, you know, the age-old rule that you give to receive, right? But I think you mentioned having a goal, and I would argue 9 times out of 10, that goal should be to give. And so I'd love to leave everyone with that your goal for social media should be to give. And I do believe that you'll see that return in things like referrals, repeat business, and things like that. But
Carolyn gave you a heart when she said that. So that was,
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Give some more in that.
As Megan in our company would say, you guys might have seen her on social media sometimes, as Megan would say, that fills my love tank. Thank you, Carolyn. I appreciate it. And on that awkward note, no, really though, thanks everyone. Appreciate it. Do look for your feedback. I think Jana dropped an email address in the chat there. So if you have any feedback, comments, or requests for future workshops, email us at solutions@spotlightbranding.com. If you want to schedule a consultation with us, that's spotlightbranding.com/schedule. Thank you everyone for making time for this today. I hope it was valuable to you. We enjoyed hanging out with you.
Always.
Thank you guys.
Bye-bye.